This hasn't happened to the United States in almost 100 years, around 94 years to be exact, and experts are predicting that the Great Recession, or I should say the Great Depression in the 1930s, will have nothing on the one that we're going to see in 2024.
The Great Depression was a dramatic worldwide economic calamity which started in 1929 and lasted until the late 30s. Most people believe it began with the U.S. stock market collapse of October 1929. By 1932, U.S. stocks were only worth 20% of what they were prior to the crisis, and 1 year later, almost half of all United States banks had failed. By 1935, roughly 750,000 farms had been lost to bankruptcy or distressed sales. European countries, debilitated by the debt they've accumulated due to World War I, dealt with a severe depression and a sovereign debt crisis ultimately emerged. In Germany, for example, unemployment reached 25%, and among other things, this economic disaster led to Hitler's Nazi Party becoming the top political actor after the 1932 elections. Worldwide trade was devastated by the Great Depression, with countries engaging in so-called trade wars by limiting imports. And by the same year, 1932, global trade crashed to half of the pre-crisis volume. Unfortunately, trade wars degenerated into an actual armed conflict, which caused over 60 million deaths. World War II. Make no mistake, most wars have been caused by economic factors to a very large degree. Let's learn from the past and not let this happen again.
But still, we're going to hear all this positivity, all this optimism while the headlines remain the same. Now, to prove that, watch what we were being told earlier this year about the state of our finances.
The economy is running on fumes. We're seeing the consumer barely able to hang on in terms of spending and relying on a depletion of savings and going into credit card debt. We are seeing businesses increase their inventories, not because they're stocking up for future sales, but because they cannot liquidate current inventory at current prices. In other words, again, that cash-strapped consumer can't afford to buy what they used to. And as you pointed out, those real disposable incomes have dropped precipitously over the last year. Now, some of that is certainly due to the fact that those pandemic-era payments have ended. Those were the checks that people got from the government. But over 90% of that drop, in other words, over $900 billion of those losses is from inflation.
Yeah, and when you see the price of eggs going up in some places over $10 for a dozen, it really is shocking there. As we mentioned, President Biden has a very different take on what's going on. Let's get a listen to his reaction to the latest economic report.
Jobs are the highest in American number and the highest in American history. And wages are up, and they're growing faster than inflation. Over the past 6 months, inflation has gone down every month, and God willing, will continue to do that.
I mean, am I wrong? Now, I've been telling you guys about this for so long now. The problem that this government and, well, us being its citizens are facing is that they don't really seem to know how to curb their spending. And that's the real problem. It's like giving a kid a credit card for Roblox or Minecraft. I mean, they're bound to just keep on spending money until they hit the credit limit and then some. You know what I mean? And to make matters worse, there's an important economic indicator that is flashing bright red, and it has appeared, like I said in the beginning of this video, ever since the Great Depression. So what's happening? The money supply that is available is going down dramatically, partnering with the high cost of goods that seem to want to just go to the moon. And well, we're looking at a very serious problem, folks. The only difference is, and this is mind-boggling to be honest, is that during that time, the 1930s, we actually saw prices going down as the money supply annual rate turned negative. So what does that mean for the current state of our economy today? Well, in a nutshell, we've never been in this kind of situation, and to make matters worse, as I've already said, the federal government wants to continue spending money. I mean, am I crazy to think that 2024 is going to be the worst economic year for the United States of America? I mean, just go ahead and mix this in with the whole green energy push and the limits being placed on drilling, and, well, expect inflation to get even worse and not better. Now, let's try it in the comments. If you think that 2024 is going to be filled with good news for our expenses and the economy as a whole, go ahead and comment positive. And if not, comment negative. And while you guys are at it, make sure to smash the like button and turn on all notifications. Now, I've received a few messages from you guys telling me that you've been auto unsubscribed, and believe me, I have no idea what's going on. So please check and make sure that you're still subscribed. I appreciate the love, you guys. Now, since we're already talking about 2024, we may be seeing more pain when we buy anything from Costco, as they have already confirmed that they're going to hike membership fees as early as the first month of next year. The cost of a Costco membership is around $120 per year. But how much will it go up to adjust for inflation going into 2024? I mean, who knows at this point, but we should expect that any membership fee for 2024 is probably going to go up in price. And it doesn't matter if it's Costco, Sam's Club, Spotify, Netflix, or anything for that matter, anything that you need to pay monthly or annually, expect the price to go nowhere but up, which is quite the opposite of what's happening with Tesla right now. You see, Tesla is actually cutting its prices and it's pissing a lot of people off. Not for the reason that you might be thinking, all right? So here's the thing, guys. How would you feel if you bought a Tesla with the original price and then just days later you hear that the price went down? Like, how would that make you feel? Not good, I bet, right? And that's what a lot of customers are now telling Elon Musk right now. It's like they've been taken for a ride because they had no way of knowing that the price cuts were coming. Did you guys see what I did there? You were taken for a ride? Okay, I tried. Anyway, so there's a guy who felt absolutely cheated because he bought the Model S and he drove it for less than 100 miles and then sees that he could have saved 20 grand by waiting for the price cut. He lost 20 grand overnight, basically. This is a huge business risk. It's going to affect the loyal customers that you have right now, and it's going to discourage new customers who may want to wait on that big purchase because they're hoping for another discount to be announced. Now, let me ask you, do you care if a big purchase winds up being a huge miss on the discount within a few weeks or maybe even a few days? I mean, imagine you go to buy a refrigerator from the store, you spend $3,000 on a refrigerator, only to find out that 2 weeks later that same refrigerator could be purchased for like $1,200. Would you be upset? Or would you still just be happy to have a new car or a new refrigerator? Now, I'm not really that much of a big fan of electric vehicles, but hey, to each his own, right? Now, speaking of personal preferences, do you prefer working from home or working in the office? Serious question, because I found out about this insane new thing that's being done, and it's called coffee badging. What's that? Well, there's this employee who works for a consulting firm in Atlanta, and she, get this, she goes to the office once or twice a month. I mean, like, how insane is that? The reason being is that she hates the drive. So what's the solution? Come into work once a month and arrive by 11 a.m. Now, if you think that's crazy, take a guess as to what time she goes home. She goes home at 3 p.m. Bet none of y'all guessed that, right? And here's the absolute best part. What does she do when she actually shows up to the office? Well, she eats lunch, catches up with colleagues. It's no different than asking your friends to meet up and all you do is kind of like talk like, it's kind of like out of this world, really. But don't get me wrong, different jobs have different circumstances, you know what I mean? There are jobs that work even though you never see employees, so long as they bust their butts and get the job done. Some jobs require a little bit more of a hands-on approach, and this is exactly why some bosses ask their workers to actually show up to work. But do you guys think that this kind of practice, the coffee badging thing, is really making our workers worse or better? Now, I'm talking about the entirety of the labor market, all right? So make sure you guys share your thoughts down below. And before I go, I just want to thank you guys so much for being with me today. Keep safe, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next video. Take care.